Hey everyone, Mango7World here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7 where I finally get to show you guys Aramintha. I am so excited to finally, I can't believe it took me this long. I don't know, somebody slapped me for taking 7 months or something to actually hero spotlight my favorite unit in the game. I am so excited to show you how I'm using her now. And I just want to say I'm not giving her as much respect as I should, as much dedication. So she doesn't have the best gear right now. She's kind of got a leftover set. But a lot of the pieces are questionable at best, but she is working really well for what I use for. So first off, let me talk about her skills. And for those of you, again, who aren't aware, I used Aramintha from everything. Like every single thing in this game, I used her for. She was my selective pick, even though people told me not to pick her. And I used her from the start of the game through every piece of content, and the only time she ever left my group was actually 62 Abyss with the Sez. I had to take her out for Sez. That was it. Put her back in. She carried me all the way to 80 plus, all the raid bosses, everything. Even the hell mode bosses, she was in my first kills for that too. She's just been the star of my show. If you watch my stream, you'll know that for sure. And yeah, I'm super happy with her. Before we get going, in the comments below, leave who you want me to hero spotlight next, and we'll try to take a look at that. Whatever is the most liked comment, we will do next. Try not to troll me too hard with a unit I don't have, because that makes it difficult to make a video, so yes. Let's take a look at her skills. She's obviously got a burn and a lot of burn, so that means she's going to scale a ton off of attack. Her fire pillar is AoE and has pretty huge. I would say 100% is a pretty huge chance to burn. That helps out a ton. And importantly here, you need this effect chance. You need up to +5 at least on her. And you get -1 turn cooldown as well. Like, you cannot go without these skill ups with Aramintha. She is super skill up heavy, and you have to invest in her if you want her to be usable or at least good. And her second skill, Catalyst, is really frustrating. But it is -1 turn cooldown as a necessity if you want to use her in the harder content, because a lot of the harder content kind of revolves around her making sure she lands healing debuffs. So if you don't land that in time against Golem, against Executioner Karkanis, I think his name is, the guy on the right, if you don't land healing block, then you're in trouble. So you need -1 turn cooldown here. As for Ignite here, she has a really high scalability on her damage on Ignite. Unfortunately, for some stupid reason, I haven't invested into this. So I should be at a 50% burn rate. Instead, I'm at 35% because I'm a big stupid head. But if you really want to invest in Aramintha, I would go to +3. Again, I have no idea why I haven't done that yet. My bad, I guess. As for her stats, this is what she's sitting at. She wants as much attack as possible. She wants as much speed as possible, even though mine is slow. She wants as much effectiveness as possible. Up to 55% is pretty much what I would use her at, but with the new Awakens, I pushed her over. And I like her on crit and crit damage if you can get it, but if you can't get it, that's fine too. As for her gear, we've got this weapon here. Again, we are looking for attack percent, we're looking for speed, we're looking for effectiveness, and we're looking for defensive stats, and literally everything. Like, actually every stat. She is such a greedy person. We've got the Christmas hat, which I've never upgraded for some reason. I don't know why I haven't brought that to 15. I mean, I know why. It's trash, but it's still like my best attack hat. Maybe I'll change that with the arena set coming. And we have defense chest. This doesn't really do the best for her, but because you cannot get attack percent on chest, I ended up trying to get as much defenses as I can here. I would prefer this to be HP, but defense percent is okay. As for her neck, it's really unsure what to use on her. You have a choice of attack percent, crit percent, or crit damage percent. One of those three have to be used, I believe. And my reasoning for using attack percent over crit damage is that everybody else that doesn't scale hard off of attack, somebody like Haste, somebody like Aramintha, somebody like Baiken, somebody that scales with their attack with bleeds and burns and stuff, everybody who doesn't scale off that gets so much more out of their crit damage. So somebody like Kisei, somebody like, I was going to say Sez, but that's a bad example. Somebody like Vildred, anybody that does a ton of damage and needs crit damage is going to get so much more out of a crit damage neck than an attack neck. So I use my good attack necks on burners, on bleeders and stuff like that, just to make it so my gear is kind of spread out and I'm not just like making somebody else way worse to make Aramintha slightly better. So this is why I have a attack neck on her. It's also got pretty good stats, effectiveness, speed, and some defenses. She has really low base HP and defense, so she really needs something to stay alive. And this is a filler piece right now, 7 speed just to get her up a little bit for speed, crit chance as well, and just attack percent. And as for her boots, another filler piece. I could honestly drop this 18% effectiveness and be okay, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to keep it like ideally, for the sets, I would be leaning towards any of the DPS sets. She's got 106 question mark base speed, shows she's really good with the speed set, getting about 26 speed from that. You also have an attack set you can use. You can use a rage set if you really want to, but I like that somewhere else. You can use destruction, all sorts of stuff. But I like to just keep her on an attack set because, like I said before, people who don't scale off of attack as much can use your better sets, and then your people that scale off of attack can use your attack sets. So you need either speed or attack on your boots. Only option here, I would not go with anything else. I personally prefer speed with lots of attack substats, but I didn't have that available, so I went with this. Your ring 100% has to be attack percent, and your neck can be any of the 3 I mentioned, but I prefer attack. As for your substats, you have 2 choices, I think, that are really important. That is crit percent and hit percent. Either of those work. Unity is also really good. Immunity if you're using her in PvP, but be careful, she's too squishy. And that's about it. The problem with hit, though, is Awakening right now gives you 24% effectiveness, so you're very likely capped on effectiveness just from the fill-ups right here. So keep that in mind when you're building her out. Add 24% effectiveness to whatever set you have if you don't have those already. Ooh, and her artifacts. So she's got a spicy amount of artifacts to switch to. I'm not sure which one to go with, to be honest. Right now I'm on Ayala Violin, and that is for A11. We'll show you a run of A11 in a bit. But in the past, I've used Siren for PvP and just Wyvern 10 way back when, and just for funsies. I've used Caladra just for pure damage. I've used, what's it called? Radiant Forever for bosses now. I switch all the time on her, and I haven't found a good option, like the best option yet. It's kind of wherever you plan to use her is the best. If you're going for just general damage and you use her everywhere, something like Radiant Forever for bosses is great. Or if you use her for other places too, like PvP or farming, then something like Caladra is great too. Also, I don't have Etika's Scepter, which seems like it would be really fun on her as well. Okay, let's go into a run. I think I covered everything. I don't know what I could have possibly missed with that spiel, but I think we covered everything. So let's talk about where I use her. And one of the places I use her everywhere, every single week is as Mikalis, the raid, because she is a fantastic morale booster. She likes talking about booze, and that makes people really happy with her food stories. So if you're looking for somebody that can clear out normal and hell raid every week, she's your gal, and she can help you out, get runs done in 3 turns, three entries on normal to kill the 6 bosses. I'll have a link in the description below to the calculator, I think. And the team I generally use is Aramintha, Violet, Amarin, Angelica, I think. I think that's the 4. And they can clear basically everything, but again, that's being carried by Tamarin. So let's do a hunt as well. I can use her for Golem 11, and I can also use her for Azamanic 11 because of the new Iella Violin. So we'll show you this run too. And again, this is very much a Vildred showcase, not an Aramintha showcase, but I use the same team with somebody like Airwell, somebody like Kickarat, somebody with just a little bit of dispels, maybe somebody like Clury before was my spot. But having Aramintha who can dispel with Iella Violin, which is only 45% right now, so it's a little lower than it should be, is just much better than having that defensive person. And we'll see at the end here that she does comparable amounts of damage to Vildred, which is just unheard of. Nobody else does anywhere near as much damage as her. And it doesn't look like she does a lot, especially when she gets freaking resisted every single darn time. But she does do a lot. I'm also using her for Golem right now, but I like to have the damage boost for Golem, the whatever it's called, the Radiant Forever for Golem, but I don't want to switch it, so we're just going to do this instead. But just trust me, I promise she works there too, and she does a fantastic job at it. So, this stage, to note, for anybody not farming A11 yet, This stage is actually like really hard. A lot of teams just can't make it past the first stage because they just randomly body a team. It really helps having 2 AoEs to clear that out. I'm also considering trying to run Bellona instead of Rin here, just because I can get that extra defense break, which would just be nutso. But it just kind of scares me to try to do that. Of course, we have the Vildred that's not going to crit. He's got high % crit, I swear. It's okay. It's okay. Aramintha wants to show herself. And she got 3 burns. So let me talk a little bit about one of the worst parts about Aramintha, and that is her second skill. Her second skill is the most frustrating thing in the game for me. For those of you who don't know, her second skill has a blow-up thing, so it finds burns in the target, blows them up in an AoE fashion, does damage, and gives them heal block, and also gives you attack buff. But did she just do it right there? I wasn't watching. She totally just did it, didn't she? But the problem is, if nobody has a burn, it doesn't do anything. It just attack buffs, which is basically useless. So that in itself makes her AI just atrocious, and one of the worst AIs in the game, I think. And it's really frustrating because without her doing that, like with her skill 2 not being cast if there's a burn, or if there isn't a burn, she would be a good farmer. She would be a good autoer. She'd be great everywhere, but with that, she's just kind of limited because she wastes her turn straight up. Which is just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating when she does that. I did complain about it, and I did mention I would love the AI change, but nothing has been done yet. So we got a Ayla Violin here, so we should dispel. Yeah, nice. That makes me so happy. Awesome. And the other thing with her skill 2, not everybody knows, is if one of your targets has a burn, it blows up on all 3. You only need 1 burn on all of them to get the skill off. As we can see here, we'll blow up the eggs with Unhealable as well, even though the boss was the only one with a burn. But if the boss didn't have burn there, she would have just attack buff and done nothing, which is really frustrating. So I would love that skill changed so badly. It's like my biggest dream to have that skill changed, because it just is the one thing that's not perfect about her. So yeah, pretty successful run here. We'll take a look at the damage really quick before we head out. And keep in mind, this is with my Vildred having basically the best gear I have, and being the best unit in the game for this. And my Aramintha having pretty subpar gear, especially like offensive gear. She doesn't have the best gear. So keep that in mind when we look at the damage here. And we can see 56k from Aramintha and 114k, so about half the damage, which is a little less than usual. Usually Aramintha does about 70% of Vildred's damage, so this was not the best showing of her. So that means she probably had a couple turns where she used her skill 2 and nothing happened, unfortunately, or maybe Vildred got a lot of counterattacks or something like that. But yeah, that's my showcase for Aramintha, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, let me know in the comments below who you want to see next, and we'll try to get them going. Thank you so much for everything. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always. Please hit that notification bell. It helps out so much, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.